This is your WWE Intercontinental Champion Gunther, and it is my pleasure to be the guest on this week's Battleground podcast. Tune in.
What's up, wrestling fans? It's your buddy Battle here from iHeartRadio's official wrestling podcast, the Battleground Podcast. And there's a lot of things going on. And let me go ahead and bring in my tag team partner here because I told him who our guest was today, and he literally marked out for this one. Like every time we've had an interview with somebody that's remotely close to this guy, I would say that our guest today is kind of like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon in a way. Mm-hmm. Eli always tells a story about a wrestling match that he saw that was like the highlight of the year. And he's got the card there. So I'm going to bring him in. And here's our guest right there. But I want to ask something for us rednecks, right? Gunther or Gunther?
What's the right way to say it?
Gunther.
Gunther. See, and that's the thing is like I was sitting here thinking about it, and I was telling Eli, I was like, you know, we know him as Walter. But then you see some people say Gunther. You see some people say Gunther. And then you tell us how to say it. But how are you doing, man? Thanks for coming on.
I'm good. Hope you guys doing well, and thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on the show, man.
So I was at this show. I don't know if you see it. It is you and PCO in New Orleans. Yeah, and that was 5 years ago now. And so that was my match of the year for 2018. And almost every day since then, I have talked about this match between you two. And so
every time.
It's just incredible to see you, get into the big organization and get on the big stage. And obviously you're killing it as the Intercontinental Champion. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Yes, for sure, for sure. So let's talk about it. We're at the start of a new year as well as on the road to WrestleMania. Looking back, how crazy of a year was 2022 for you?
It was eventful, definitely, I would call it. I joined the main roster after WrestleMania, and since then, jumped on the roller coaster and haven't gotten off since. Feels like.
Absolutely.
But in a positive way, to be honest. Lots of new opportunities and new chances for myself to introduce myself to like a wider audience, to a new stage. And I've been enjoying the journey.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey to watch for sure.
Yeah, especially for the people that maybe weren't as familiar with you in your the NXT UK run, or maybe even in some of the indies. But you and Sheamus have been going at it for almost since you arrived on the main roster. You had a match of the year candidate at Clash of the Castle, just an incredible match. He has since stated that the IC belt is, he needs that to complete his Grand Slam. He's coming after that this year. How hard of an opponent is Sheamus in the ring? And then are you concerned about his renewed interest in your world, the Intercontinental title?
He's kind of desperate for it, isn't he?
it does sound a little desperate, yeah.
I think for myself personally, I think Sheamus is a fantastic opponent because I always like matches when it's a little bit more scrappy, a little bit almost clumsy, I would call it, if that makes sense. It makes it a little bit more authentic as well. And I think Sheamus brings a fantastic energy and the physicality that I bring as well. And I think, that we do really well together in the ring. The matches I had with him this year, I think, last year, I know it's January already.
It's crazy to think.
Were one of the favorite ones in my career. And I hope we get to do it again.
Sure. And you sit here and think about it, like the matches between you and Sheamus, it's like, which would you rather have? A club in the chest from Sheamus or a slap from you? And I'm like, well, first of all, I wouldn't want neither of them because I've seen those slaps and I've heard them. So I think you have the upper advantage when it comes to that one skill set in the ring when it comes to hitting somebody. And, the Royal Rumble is right around the corner. And then, of course, WrestleMania not too far away. And we don't want to look past things because we know that you're going to just go through Braun Strowman this week and you're going to beat him and you're going to be done with it. And then you're going to be rolling into Detroit, which, by the way, you can still win tickets. Listen all this week. And, of course, go to WLLZ.com. But one match that the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, is desperate to see. Everybody's been clamoring for this one. You against the Beast, Brock Lesnar. And I see the smile on your face coming in there for a second. Are you a fan of Brock Lesnar? And is this a match that you're interested in and want to have in 2023?
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely. That's like to get the opportunity to prove myself in that scenario, it would be fantastic. And yeah, I always, when I started out as a wrestler and I got back into watching wrestling again, I always watched Brock's matches because they've been fantastic. It was a standout right away. It's nobody like him. I always like those characters. I mean, most of the people do. That's why they're successful, I guess. That there's no copy of that.
Right.
And he's always been a great wrestler. And from when I grew older in my career and I was able to analyze the work and understand the psychology and stuff like that, I think you can tell that he's one of the best to ever do it. So if I get a chance to get in the ring with him, I would gladly take that and prove myself.
Yeah, that's just thinking about the sheer power that would be in that ring is just Now one thing that happened last year specifically, Imperium returned along with you, and you three guys together just are such a deadly combination. Room for maybe an additional member to join you guys, maybe a female, and if so, if you just had to randomly pick, I mean, could you see anybody on the roster right now? Like, you know what, I could see them filling in a spot like that, with aligning with you guys.
I think we're a perfect trio and never change a running system, so we don't really need anyone on top.
Honest answer. I love it. I love it.
So that question never really came to our mind. I don't think I would actively want anybody to join, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, trios are the way it is, and if it's not broke, why try to fix it? Right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So of course we talked about it. You're facing Braun on SmackDown this week for the title, Friday the 13th. Some people say it's an unlucky day, but recently, and we want to talk about this because a lot of our listeners have been asking about this. At the end of a certain match, during SmackDown, Ricochet would appear and hit you in the head with a chair. First off, how's your head doing? Because we saw the blood going at it. And then we have a friend of ours who's a wrestler, and they were wanting to know, is there a receipt possibly coming for Ricochet after that chair shot? Or you just kind of go in the back and shake hands and be like, oh, it's okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's doing fine, actually. It's I was lucky that I didn't need stitches for that. So it was just glued together. So it was fine again after a week or so. But that stuff happens, obviously. My timeline was actually full of people oh, there's going to be a receipt. I like how all those wrestling, the wrestling lingo always goes around on Twitter, what people imagine what happens and what.
Right.
I think I can forgive him. He took enough of a beating from me recently that I can look over that, to be honest.
I was gonna say, you guys had the rematch right before you and Braun fought, and I mean that was a banger. Not to steal from Sheamus, but yeah. So he may be okay for now. So what does how does Imperium stand out as a group compared to, say, New Day or, say, Bloodline? I mean, what gives you guys an edge as a group compared to some of the other factions or trios that we see in the WWE universe?
I think we're just different from the others. I think it's always about the music hits and you walk out. Is there a certain vibe people can relate to right away or feel like? And I think what makes our group stand out is that it's authentic. I think people can tell that we really connect with each other in what we represent in the ring, that we really got our backs, and I think people can just relate to that, and I think everybody can understand what we want to represent in the ring as well. We're 3 European guys who are very proud of being European wrestlers and that want to promote that style on every stage they're on. And we take this, what we do, maybe an inch more serious than anybody else, if you compare us to other groups or other wrestlers. And I think, everybody can relate to that. And I think that's what people respect as well.
Yeah, and your entrance is so cinematic, but also menacing. And so when it hits and the backdrop hits and everything, I mean, it is just such a striking image. I think the presentation of you guys as a group has just been unbelievable. And I think that's something that WWE does better than any other company, really. Just the presentation of the talent, and just I think anyone could flip the channel and see you guys walking out with the music and the screen behind it and be like, whoa, I think they get it, like just from the presentation alone. And then you add your physicality along with that. And it's such a complete package. I mean, you guys just look like the A-list stars. You look unbelievable. So got to commend the presentation on that as well.
Oh yeah, thank you. I mean, I think that's something I always imagined, like for an entrance too. I always wanted to be like when, doesn't matter if it's like we as a group or I myself walk out to the ring, that there's a certain aura or a certain vibe is there right away that everybody can understand. It's like, okay, now it's real. If that makes sense. Like now shit goes down.
Yeah, it's almost like you said, like you almost take it more serious. Like now the real men are here. Almost kind of like, okay, now we're getting down to business. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, and we seem to achieve it. So
yeah, absolutely.
There's going to be a lot of gold coming y'all's way for sure. One question, and real quick before we let you go, and me and Eli are big belt guys here, and we always like to kind of talk about the past and everything. You're the current Intercontinental Champion. Is there any thought process, like if you could bring back one belt from the past and maybe say, I want to swap my Intercontinental title for this belt? Is there any belt that you would like to bring back to hold in your current run in WWE right now?
Exchange it for what I have now?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Like, I didn't know if maybe you want to be like, hey, I really like the European title and I should bring that back, and I'd swap the Intercontinental for that, or bring something else.
Well, I think we have we have enough really good European talent in WWE that would justify there would be a European Championship.
That's true.
But at the moment, like, I'm the Intercontinental Champion, and it's my privilege to be the Intercontinental Champion, and I would not exchange that for anything else.
Right. And, that title's always been kind of loosely referred to as the workhorse title. And I mean, who's who of, from the Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, I mean, just absolute legends have held that belt. And so, I mean, that's a lot of people, you go back and look at some of the runs like Seth Rollins had with it, with the open challenge and stuff. Do you think you would ever be open to an open challenge just on SmackDown? Just come get it. Whoever wants that. Do you think you'd entertain an open challenge for the IC title?
I'm confident enough for it.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah.
But I like my title matches to be presented in a different light.
There you go. That makes sense.
With a little bit of build, and I like them to happen as like a big event. That makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
It's fitting for a champion. I agree.
Well, it has been an honor to have you on the show today, and we don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're a busy man being the champ and all and whatnot, and you got, asses to kick very, very soon, and we'll just put Sheamus's name on that list for you as well. And again, it's an honor to have you on the show, and thanks for joining us today, man.
No, thank you guys for having me. My pleasure. Thank you very much.